So I want to first give an example before getting into the questions of why I selected this topic in particularly. So I've heard these situations happening on YouTube. I've heard it on TV shows. I've even heard it in person where two people are talking, right? And it's mostly been the guys who are being asked a question or might make the statements, and it's usually a female who's on the other side. And the guy might say, oh, I'm not attracted to heavy set women. I'm not attracted to, very rare, but I have heard guys who have said, I'm not attracted to thin or bony women. I'm not attracted to a certain ethnic group, you know, whether they're black or Hispanic, white, Asian. I'm not, you know, us being in the disabled community, I've also heard people on both sides who have said, you know, someone who might not be disabled say, oh, I'm not attracted to somebody who's in a wheelchair, or someone who's visually impaired, or someone who's deaf, has a learning disability, has a cognitive delay, or even going into a psychological disorder. And of late, I've also heard people, there's an example, a guy who said that they can't find transgender women attractive. And the second party, being the people that were listening, started saying, oh, well, you know, and all the examples, oh, well, you're fat shaming, you're racist, you're, you know, you're ableist, you're discriminating, you're homophobic or transphobic. So my question to you guys, and why I brought up this topic, do you guys feel that if someone isn't attracted to one of these marginalized groups of people, should they be judged or shamed for them not having a specific attraction and not having a specific attraction who happen to be of these groups?
I think it's like it's weird because it's like if you're not attracted to someone, right, because of like what they can't control, sure, it's harsh. Like personally, right, I've been rejected because of like the disability and stuff like that. And to be honest, I'd rather get rejected by that person than to have to date that person and watch that person force themselves to like try and pass like that aspect of their like whatever they're going through, you know? Because ultimately, I can't control this, you know? Sure, I won't be dating that person, right? But who's to say I can't find someone else who is attracted to me for me, right? And not just like because I have the disability, right? And then it's like you flip the coin on the other side, right? And it's like, what if you're being fetishized by like you find someone who like is attracted to you only because of your disability or only because of your race?
Exactly.
This is true. This is true. I mean, you know, touching base on what you said right there, it does make a lot of sense. There's people out there that will only date you because your disability, and it's more of a kink, something that's, you know, it's not natural.
I've heard of that.
And I personally feel that, yeah, you don't want to have the person right there forced, because it's not a healthy relationship in the long run. I mean, if regular, quote unquote, regular relationships, people are there and they're being forced, that never works out. You know, you get abusive relationships, you get this, you get that. So at the end of the day, I'm sorry if the road you picked limits the amount of, you know, fishes in the sea. You will find the certain fishes that love you, but it's not all of the fishes are gonna love you. This is why that quote is out there. You know, there's plenty of fishes out in the sea. You know, it is what it is. You know, people have preferences, people have standards, and we each gotta respect it. Both sides need to respect it. That each party has their own standards. Ian?
My older brother and I talked about this before, and the funny thing is, like, exactly what you said, Omar. Number one, people are allowed to have preferences, and unfortunately, one of the realities everyone has to accept is you might not fall in the line of somebody's preference. You have to resolve that, and no, maybe it could be the disability, maybe it's the race, maybe it's just, you know, it's even gotten so crazy where, like, I've literally heard someone say they wouldn't date a like Democrat or Republican, and it's like, okay, come on, like this ain't even like, how's that like physical? But you see, it's always these margins that exist that will limit a person's view on who it is they can and can't be with, and most of that does come from like what they, you know, is opposite of them. So that you got to resolve that. But one of the things that me and my brother did discuss before, where he's like, even if you have a female that, or whoever your partner is, if they don't quote unquote, you know, fall in the line of your preference and stuff like that, if you still make, if you still make the agree, you still have a choice to make. Because some people, like, yeah, they have their preferences. I want big this, I want that, and all that stuff. They end up with someone who only maybe hits 2, 1, or sometimes none of those boxes, but they still stay with them, which means you had a choice. And at that point, it's either A, you choose to just go off because the preferences aren't there, or B, you're going off the list. The preferences are not on the table. And at that point, that's your choice. And whatever you decide to do, that's what's going to happen at the end of the day.
So by what I'm kind of getting from you, Ian, it's kind of like, don't put yourself in that box of being so picky, you know, all like what you said, you know, the example, like, I don't like somebody because they're a Democrat. Well, then you're putting yourself also in a box, not for, you know, just because of somebody's political view, right?
It's literally what Omar said. Like, because we all do have preferences, it is going to, like, you know, the ocean's going to start looking more like a bit of a river a bit. And it's only going to get shorter the more preferences you have. So now some people, like, some people can be like, I'm being selective. I'm just, you know, trying to weed it out. But then you can't really get upset if it's just like, I don't seem to be attracting anybody. It might be maybe those, you know, quote unquote preferences of yours might be a bit much, that it's just like, then you're going to have to like either really, really wait or continuously, you know, kind of go out there and cast your net for different preferences other than just like one simple thing. Again, we all have our thing. That's fine. And that's okay. But if it does start becoming a problem where it's like, now it's just like, I you know, it's just too this, too little that, like, just, it's just a list of what people can and all that, then it's gonna get pretty shallow on your end.
I think it's a good point to bring up, that the three of you bring up, is to keep an open mind of not being so closed out to the world just because, oh, well, they don't fit the certain criteria or the same grouping as I do. But also what you brought up, Jesus and Omar, of kind of having that open-mindedness and awareness. Just because somebody says, well, I'm attracted to this ethnic group or these people that have disability or so on and so on, you should be giving them the side eye also, because there is that fetishizing of those groups. So I think it is important to do that. My follow-up question, the final question, is, if you're the person who isn't attracted to one of these groups of people, should you feel ashamed or guilty?
No.
Repeat that question one more time, a little more clearly, please.
So if you, let's say you, Omar, if you're the one that doesn't like somebody because they're heavy set or of a certain ethnicity, maybe the person has a disability, or I don't know, transgender people, should you, being the person, you know, with the taste, should you be judged or feel guilty or ashamed that you don't like somebody because society is telling you you should?
Well, to feel guilty, no. You shouldn't feel guilty. To be judged, unfortunately, it's going to happen.
Agreed.
So yeah, I don't think you should feel guilty at all for yourself. And you know, just going a little back in there, you know, at the end of the day, it's what you like, having an open-minded, you know. A lot of people, let's take for instance, bigger women. You know, there's some people that love bigger women because it comes with bigger curves, a bigger booty, you know, things like that. But then that's all they want from them. They don't want their personality. They don't want this. They don't want that. Or they don't even want to be seen in public with them. Going a little bit with what you said, Jesus, you know, they're kind of right there. Yeah, they're benefiting with only thing what they want. And they're not really putting in to the relationship. So, yeah, you know, what do you think, Jesus?
let's see. Should I feel ashamed if I don't like someone?
Yeah, should you feel ashamed or guilty for not liking somebody because you're told that they belong to a specific group of people? A minority, I guess. A minority group.
Honestly, I don't think I would feel ashamed because it's like, then again, it's like, at least you're being honest with yourself.
Right.
You know, you can't date this person because of something that they can't control. You know, hopefully they can, again, find someone else who can, you know, who can love them like way better than like I ever could. You know?
Exactly.
And on the opposite side of that is like, should I feel ashamed for like liking someone because of this one thing? It's just like in that retrospective, I think you should do some like
Searching.
searching and be like, why do I like this person? Is it because they're a certain ethnicity, or is it because genuinely they're like a really good person? You know, and they like we like form a good bond together. You know. So I think two things can be true at once. You know, it's like you should like personally. You know, I'm not gonna feel ashamed if you know I don't like someone for something specific, but I think I will feel that shame if I did like someone for something so specific.
So either one, just make sure you know why you do or you don't.
Yeah.
I like that answer.
That's a good one.
Hey, I was about to say Ian.
As I say this, yeah, no, you are entitled to, you know, fall in love with who you fall in love with and all that. And if you don't feel attracted, the worst thing you can do is try to, like Jesus said, force yourself on them and try to make things work, because you're wasting your time, their time, and then you're kind of delaying what's going to happen is just heartbreak or just disappointment. So be honest with yourself. But I can't stress this next part enough. If you're okay to not be attracted to that, what you should not do not do this, because many people do this. Don't judge someone else that, you know, you're not attracted to that, someone else is. You don't get the right to weigh in like, oh, that's just this, and that, because you made the decision that that's not your cup of tea, that's not your forte. You don't go in on someone else, though, who that honestly is. You do not make them feel like that's, you know, that's wrong and all of that, because just because you said no doesn't mean they had that. Your no has to be their no. I've seen this mistake happen, and
I was going to cut you off real quick because I know where you're going with that. And see, for me, we talked about this, you and me off camera, where it's like,
it's an inside joke, guys.
Yeah,
it is.
Where it's like, and we talked about this before. If I'm okay with whoever you are interested in, but then the minute that the tables are turned around and I like someone who you might not feel is attractive, then you start judging me. That is irony, and that is it's bullshit.
And to be honest, you open yourself up fairly to get attacked.
Yep.
It's only fair, because you can't. I've never been a fan of that, where it's just, look, if they really care about this person and partner, whatever, you don't see them in that lens like they do, but you're not even in a relationship with them, so frankly, you shouldn't. So if, you know, they're okay, that's fine. But then you shouldn't be trying to whisper in their ear on the side, like, I think this, and that, because then someone will do it to you.
It's none of your business.
It really isn't.
So to wrap up my thoughts for today, so kind of just summarizing everything that we've talked about. You shouldn't be judged for whatever taste you have, whether you are attracted to somebody of a certain group of people or you're not. You shouldn't be shamed. You shouldn't feel shame if you do or you don't. However, I also do agree that you shouldn't close yourself off just because somebody isn't of the specific group that you might belong to. As somebody who's both Hispanic and also has a visual impairment, for me, I'd rather somebody like me for who I am, not because, you know, my sexy accent or because I have one good eye, you know, stuff like that. I don't understand why there's so much judgment going on in society nowadays, where people are being shamed because you aren't attracted to a certain person physically, right? Because to me, just because you're saying, oh, well, I don't find this person attractive, that doesn't mean that you're saying this person is less valuable as a human being because I'm not attracted to them. My isn't pointing at them, so that must mean that they're worthless. I don't understand that mindset. So for those people who are trying to shame people like that, if you guys are trying to help, bring more acceptance and bring more tolerance, you guys are causing more harm than you are helping, because you're also pushing people away, and you're putting them, to in a certain in a certain position where there's basically, you're telling them you're supposed to be attracted to someone, and if you're not, you're homophobic, you're transphobic, you're fat shaming, you're racist. If you like what you like, then you like what you like, and like what me and Ian finished saying. And if other people are okay with you liking what you're liking, live and let live. That's what my mom always has told me. Shut the up and stop judging people. So love what you want to love, and love who you want to love. Actually, let's go back. Love who you want to love. There you go. As long as it's legal and consensual.
I was gonna say that. Make sure it's legal, guys.
And consensual.
We can't stress that enough, guys. Be smart. Be smart about it.
Please.
Bye.